Hello guys, so in today's video I will talk about Snowflake IPO, what I think about the company and explain what I'm going to do with this IPO, if I'm investing and when. So please smash that like button and subscribe since it really helps my channel out. But first, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this IPO. Did you invest in it? And if not, are you planning to invest? Snowflake is easily the hottest IPO and the most hyped IPO of the year for several reasons, which I will talk later in the video. But first, what does Snowflake does? They're basically a data warehouse, and that means that they let any company access their own data that they have in the cloud where they can analyze it, edit it, study it, compare it, and more without needing to use the core data. That is what one platform, one copy data, many workloads mean. Basically, there is one core data that can be used by many people within the same company to analyze it without having or ever editing the main data. Just imagine all the data that big companies collect daily. Companies like Microsoft and Apple that are tracking us every single day, and what they are doing is collecting data from us of every move we do, every app we download, everything we basically do during the day. They could do very powerful things with all that data, and Snowflake gives them the opportunity to organize that data in a cloud-based platform in where they can study without any problem. The best part of all this is that Snowflake integrates with the three biggest, most popular cloud-based companies, which are Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. And it lets any customer transfer data from one place to another without hesitation. I do have to say that it is a very complex business model in which I recommend you do your due diligence, watch tons of video about them, read their presentations, and understand everything that they do. Now, at the beginning of all this, Snowflake IPO price was going to be between $75 to $85 per share. Then they decided to increase it to $100 to $110 per share, and later on September 15th, the share price was increased to $120 per share, with a valuation of $33 billion. And lastly, it was indicated to open around $200, meaning that actually no one was able to buy Snowflake for their IPO price of $120 per share. The question is, why did this happen? In my opinion, it was all because of the hype around the IPO. I would assume that all of you already knew that Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway invested millions of dollars in this IPO, just like Salesforce, and obviously seeing these two huge companies, Berkshire Hathaway and Salesforce, which is a huge and successful cloud-based company supporting Snowflake, it gives them a lot of credibility. In my opinion, even more seeing Berkshire Hathaway investing in them, since we all know that Warren Buffett does not invest in this type of companies that are money-losing companies. So I would assume that he did not invest directly in this. It might have been any of his portfolio managers, but still Warren Buffett was aware of all that. So in my opinion, what happened was that the Snowflake saw all that hype around their IPO and took advantage of it and started increasing the price to be able to raise more capital. They ended up raising $3.36 billion during the IPO, which converted it into the biggest US listing. The stock ended opening at around $240 per share, meaning that investors like Berkshire Hathaway and Salesforce already doubled their money on the very first day. It even got to $319 per share at one point before starting to drop during the rest of the day. Right now, it is trading at a price of $253.93 per share with a market cap of $70 billion, which in my opinion is insane. And even more since in February, before announcing IPO, they had a $479 million round, which gave the company a valuation of $12.4 billion. And you're telling me that 7 months later, it is worth $33 billion for IPO and now $70 billion? It does not make sense at all for me. Now, before analyzing their financials, there is something very important you guys have to take into consideration, and it is the possible huge dilution that is coming up for the company. As many of you may know, there is always a lock-up period for an IPO, which I have always said that it is important to have that in mind since we can see a lot of volatility because of it. So as they said in their S-1 filing, 90 days after going public, all of their current employees may sell a number of shares equal to 25% of outstanding vested shares, which means that 3 months from now, around December, employees will be able to sell their shares, and 25% of outstanding shares is 11.29 million shares. Then, if the stock price stays up 33% from the IPO price for at least 10 of the next 15 days, they will release 37.9 million more shares. Taking into consideration the IPO price was $120 per share and not $240 as we retail investors saw, meaning that if the stock needs to stay above $159.6 per share for at least 10 of the next 15 days for this to happen. Is it going to happen? Will the stock stay above that price? It is impossible for me to know, to be honest, but most likely it will, mainly because of the hype around the stock. What all this means is that there is a possibility that there will be 49.19 million shares more in the market, which means that between today and December we can see huge volatility around the stock if employees decide to sell their stocks and if the stock price stays above $159.6 per share. Now, I know that something that played a huge role in the decision of investors like Berkshire Hathaway and Salesforce to invest in this IPO is their growth and excellent performance the company has been having. As they said, they have had a growth of 121% year over year and 158% of net retention. And net retention represents the amount of customers they are losing or gaining. A retention above 100% means that they are not losing customers, and also it means that they are making more money from those existing customers. Also, 56 clients pay over $1 million for their service. But now let's check their financials. But first, if you haven't signed with Webull yet, make sure to do it and claim your 2 free stocks after depositing $100, which you can withdraw later on without any problem. Also, with Webull, you are able to invest in IPOs before they go public. I should have invested in Snowflake, then I would have more than double my money already. Might do it with Palantir IPO just to try it out. Now, Snowflake has been having a strong momentum. As you can see, in Q3 2019, which is actually Q3 of 2018, but their fiscal year is kind of advanced and it makes it really confusing, but well, they had sales of $29 million, while in Q2 of 2021, which was last quarter, they reported sales of $133 million. Last year, they had a total revenue of $264 million, which is a huge growth of 174% year over year. Now, there are some things in their income statement that I do not like that much, but might be necessary for the company to be able to continue with its growth. As you can see, their loss last year increased exponentially in comparison to a prior year, which let's say that is normal. Let's say that it is a growth company that needs to spend more money to continue innovating. The thing is that when you check here, their marketing expenses are really high. Last year, they spent $293 million, which is way more than their sales. That means that their growth is driven by their marketing expenses, which is not sustainable in the long term. Now, in the previous 12 months, their revenue has been $400 million, which is huge. And the good thing is that even though their revenue grew that much, their net loss had not increased that much. Obviously, the year is still not over, but this means that their expenses lowered. It could be their marketing expenses or their research and development expenses, but in my opinion, this company should have exponential growth for the coming years, let's say 5 to 7 years, and should reach profitability during those times. Now, I do want you to know that I have not invested in Snowflake yet. So, will I ever invest in it? Is it at a good price right now? I do not really think that it is at a good price right now, but I do think it could be a very good investment, just not right now, and let me explain why. Yes, the company is solving a huge problem, has huge customers that continue increasing year over year, their revenue growth is impressive, and their core business, which is the cloud warehouse business, is easy to scale and get it to higher levels. So because of all that, I do expect it to continue with this huge growth year over year. The question is, why I'm not investing right now? Well, I think that its price does not make sense right now. As I said, they had a valuation of $12 billion in February, and today it is around $70 billion. That is almost 5 times their valuation from 7 months ago, which is really insane. I think that there are a lot of growth already priced in the stock, and there is a lot of hype around the stock that could create an euphoric run up that could easily go wrong later on. Also, their net loss is increasing more and more year over year, and we will have huge dilution of shares between now and December, and they just IPO'd. I am going to avoid this one for a while it settles down. Yes, in the long term, with their exponential exponential growth, the stock could be worth even more. But think about this for a second. They just went public yesterday, and because of all the hype, the stock more than doubled their value. Berkshire Hathaway and Salesforce more than doubled their investment in the very first day. We all have seen this year several IPOs doing the same. That is normal to see in an IPO, and I think it's not worth it to invest when they just went public if their valuation is that rich already. But again, that is my decision. I'm not a financial advisor. I do want you guys to do your due diligence on this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button and subscribe since it really helped my channel out. Also, do not forget that I have a free Discord group chat, which the link is down below in the description if you would like to join. Thank you and see you next time.